Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Friends and Music Podcast. Today I'm sitting with Emmy. Hi, Emmy.
Hey,
How are you doing today?
doing good. What about you?
Oh, I am pretty good. I'm excited that we are finally doing this. It has been a long time in the works. You're one of the first people I wanted to record an episode with. We tried to work it out right when I started this. We weren't able to make it happen. But 10 months later, 8 months later, here we are finally doing it.
Oh man, I didn't realize it's been that long, but yes, I do know. I was like, I swear I'm not trying to lead you along. I just have a crazy schedule, and I really was interested in doing this, and hence I'm here now.
Yes, we're finally doing it. I appreciate you taking the time. You have a lot going on in your life. You're a hard worker. You're a homeowner now. Congratulations. Sounds
Thank
like you're
you.
adulting pretty well and you've got life figured out. If you wanted to spend the next hour teaching us all how to adult and how to have life figured out, we would greatly appreciate that.
It is a weird perspective to be in that position, but I mean, not a bad thing.
Well, I want to let people know a few things about you, which will easily guide us in to music. But like I said, you're a hardworking person. You're a very good friend. You're a very supportive friend. You support me with the podcast. You supported the band I was in. I greatly appreciate both of those things. And the band I was in is how we met, which I think is a fun story. Would you like to say it, or would you like me to?
Sure. I mean, you can go off of what you remember first.
Okay, yeah, perfect. You correct me on whatever I get wrong or miss. Uh, we both were in Rexburg at the same time, going to school. Actually, I was not in school at the time. At that point, I was just in the band, either trying to figure out if I'm going to stay in school or what was going to happen. But a lot of my effort was being put into the band and the job that I was in. I was at the old Sammy's location with window chalk writing, like, hey, Hycie's playing a show this weekend somewhere else. Please come. And you were walking by and you had a handguns beanie on. And I said, you like handguns? I have never seen anybody with handguns merch on. And you're like, yeah, I like handguns. I was like, what other bands do you like? So we talked music for a minute. And I was like, well, I'm in a band. We're playing a show. I assume it was that weekend. I said, come out. And you did. Am I right? Did I get it right?
Pretty much. I remember, I think it might have been within like a week or two when I first got to Rexburg, and I had very, very fresh into adulthood at that point. But yeah, I was wearing a handguns beanie, and I was like, oh wow, someone recognizes this, which is even crazier in retrospect, because if I were to see anyone wearing something that says handguns now, I don't think I would assume the band. But at the time,
Yeah.
it felt very relevant in my life, so that's what mattered. It was pretty
Yeah,
good.
so
And yeah, I remember talking to you about that. And then I actually remember, because I remember talking to you on that first time, and then I think I remember running into you I want to say a week or two later, just walking down the street, and it was and you recognized me for my beanie, and I remember talking about that again, and got to be like, oh, okay, this is who you are. You have your band. I want to go see. I want to get involved in music. I just got here. Never stayed this far from home for this long before, and it was really fun getting into Hycie, kind of first thing. I think something about the music scene in Rexburg around that time, I feel like you can't create that again. And even people I've known that have been in Rexburg since, it was a privilege to get to be a part of all of that.
it was a fun time. And I think, a lot of us took it for granted what was happening because we just thought it was normal. But yeah, like you said, I guess maybe it's not. But I had a great time during that time. I'm glad to hear that you did as well.
Oh, yeah. And then handguns, it's crazy realizing how obscure they actually are, too, because I actually, was on their Spotify profile a few months ago, and I think they only have, between 7,000 or 14,000 monthly listeners now, which is crazy, because at the time, I just figured they were, on the same page as, Man Overboard or something, but...
Well, did you check Man Overboard's monthly listeners to compare?
Not that I remember, but I feel like it's more than that, but I guess I don't actually know. I am wearing a Man Overboard shirt right now, though. It feels nostalgic.
You just need your handguns beanie. That'd be perfect. You are wearing a beanie, though.
Should have grabbed it. Yeah, it's a different beanie, but I do still have that handguns beanie. I I don't know. I'm old enough that I have to think about where I wear it now, but
Those are two bands that during that time, 2010s, were like huge in the pop punk world. Outside of that, nobody knew who they were.
I feel like that whole subgenre of pop punk was just it exploded and was like this huge thing, especially if you were on Tumblr in the mid 2010s and like during the time that I was in high school, and the whole like pop punk is pizza and Stay Posy and the Real Friends and all that. Like it was such a prominent thing, and then one day it just disappeared. And no one ever talked about it again outside of the people that were there. Like, so I think another interesting thing too with how music has moved is I feel like with how available it is now, a lot of people can be into a lot more obscure music, whereas I feel like handfuls of decades ago, people more or less like they had different genres they liked, but everything was kind of a bigger name on some level, where it's like generations from now it'll be like, oh yeah, like my parents were really into this band that no one knew about then, let alone now. Like it is kind of crazy to think that with how available music is now, a lot of people can be into a lot more obscure music scenes, and whereas like these 2010s pop punk bands like Real Friends and Man Overboard and Handguns and the Wonder Years, like they felt really big for the scene that they were in and like a really big deal. But who knows if future generations will have any clue what any of that was, which is kind of sad. But like, and I don't know, I feel like decades ago, a lot of the music that people could get into was put on by major labels, and it was harder to get music, so a lot more people liked more of the same thing. So like while people liked different genres, like I don't feel like it spread quite as far as it does now.
No, I completely agree with you, and I think Man Overboard and Handguns are very similar in a lot of ways. Like their sound is very similar. I think personally Man Overboard got bigger just within the music that they played, or like the concerts that they played, but very similar time frame, very similar sound, and then very similar of like they kind of just fell off the face of the earth.
Yeah, actually, like the shirt I'm wearing right now was from their farewell tour in 2016. Like, as I was like, it was kind of a thing for my high school friend group. Like, we always listened to Man Overboard's self-titled album on CD in my crappy car, and we just listened to it on repeat every time we went somewhere, and just like it was the coolest time.
Please tell me more about the crappy car. What kind of crappy car was this?
It was a 2002 Mazda 626, and
nice.
Yeah, the air conditioner didn't work the entire time I drove it, and I could probably pinpoint, like, no joke, maybe 20 spots around the Sacramento area where I was pulled over to the side of the road with issues with that car for one reason or another. It was also the only one of my friends that had a car, and so everyone had to appreciate it anyway, and I learned about putting water in the radiator to keep it from overheating on the spot.
Look at you. Car made you a mechanic.
Yeah, like there was one time I was driving home from my grandparents' house, which was maybe 20 minutes away, and I saw the car was going to overheat and like I'm not going to make it. I parked in a neighborhood trying to figure out what to do, and the sprinklers came on in front of the house I was at. And so I took empty water bottles from my trunk and filled it with sprinkler water to put it in the radiator and was able to make it home.
You really are a mechanic. Good for you, little.
Yeah, had to learn it all from the first car. My cars since then have been like no issues. It's been great, but got to learn somewhere.
Oh, for sure. You have to start with the crappy car to appreciate having a good car. Definitely.
Oh yeah.
I've never got out of the crappy car phase. I always just buy crappy cars because that's kind of me. But good for you. Like I said, you're adulting. Teach us. How do you get a nice car?
Well, my cars that I've had since then, my parents helped me get my Fiesta that I've had since 2016. Like they put down the down payment, and then once I could, I did start making the monthly payments.
Nice.
And then I've been driving that car for basically 10 years now. And then we did like a year where my husband and I basically only had that car because his car just kind of rotted on the street and didn't work. And the day we donated it, my grandparents actually said like, "Hey, we want to get a Cybertruck. Do you want our old car?" And their old car is a 2015 Lexus IS 250. So I was like, "Yeah, I want your old car."
Oh,
So,
hey, that's fancy. That's a big step up.
oh yeah, so like that feel like when I got the Fiesta, I remember feeling like this feels like too fancy to be something that I could own because it had a digital like screen that could like say the names of the songs and I don't know. It had Bluetooth and an aux cord at one point. Both of those don't work anymore. Like I don't know. There's pieces of it that kind of fall apart. But that car has taken me a long way. It's at 197,000 miles, and I just got it
Wow,
at like 31,000. So
that's awesome. Yeah, that's great.
mhm.
I did not expect for us to talk about the evolution of cars that we've owned. This is great. This is good information.
It is fun to see where it goes. Yeah.
Yeah. But we were talking about Man Overboard handguns. You obviously saw Man Overboard. You said the farewell tour. How many times have you been?
I saw them at their farewell tour. I saw them open for All Time Low. I saw them at a Warp Tour, maybe two Warp Tours. So I think probably like 3 or 4 times.
And then how many times did you see handguns?
Um, at least twice because I know I got into them because I saw them open for the same All Time Low tour, and I
Yeah.
saw them at Warp Tour. Like, yeah, that All
Yeah.
Time Low tour is a big deal because I think that was the first time I actually went to a concert in Sacramento that I didn't have to drive hours for. So,
Yeah, that's nice that they went there.
mhm.
I went to that tour too, and I had never seen handguns yet, and we ran late. And so, right when I walked into the venue in Denver, handguns was like hitting their last note, and I
Aw,
really wanted to see them because I'd seen Man Overboard, seen All Time Low, never seen handguns. I'm like, okay, cool, get to see a new band. Walk in, and they're like, thanks, everybody, have a good night. And I'm like, this
aw,
sucks.
that is sad. I remember a funny thing with that show that I remember was just the crowd difference between Handguns and Man Overboard and All Time Low, which like I don't know, when you're removed from the music scene from the outside looking in, you're like, oh, it's all pop punk or whatever. But like when you're within it, it's like there was a different crowd, different feeling. And I know there was like a lot of moshing, a lot of movement from the whole room during Man Overboard and Handguns, and there were a lot of people who were just kind of like afraid right before All Time Low started because they're like, oh no, people are gonna run into me.
Yeah,
I also feel like it's kind of rare to get that kind of movement at shows now. Like, I don't know if it's a combination of getting older and these bands are getting older and all their fans are too, or just like, I also have a theory that people give each other more space at concerts after COVID. Like,
after COVID, yeah, for sure. Yeah, if you want space anywhere, just start coughing a lot, and people usually back
yeah.
up. It's a good life hack now. Movie theater, people don't sit next to you. You can have the whole row to yourself.
Oh, yeah. Cause like, I remember before COVID, it was a very regular thing to go to concerts and you have the other person, people around you on all sides just sweating and jumping right up against you. And like, to the point where you're kind of squished sometimes you could like lift up your legs and be fine. But that doesn't happen really anymore. Like, or like even at the A Day to Remember Yellow Card Wonder Year show that we were both at a few months ago, like I remember seeing all those bands years ago, and the crowd would go crazy. And like, it's not that they didn't have energy this time, but it definitely wasn't the same degree of like, you gotta like kind of watch overhead, watch everywhere, and just kind of just really everybody feeling it, you know?
Yeah, definitely. I'm obviously going to talk about that concert. I want to take a step
Mhm.
back, and with the 2010s pop punk that we're talking about on the spot, I'm trying to have new questions because we talk about like rank your top three, right? Every once in a while with Blink 182, Green Day, Sum 41, sometimes other bands. But I want to do a 2010 version of that. So I've wrote down a few
Okay.
bands. We talked about Handguns, Man Overboard. We definitely have to throw the story so far in there. You brought up
Oh
Real
yeah.
Friends, Knuckle Puck, Wonder Years. Is there any more from that specific time that I need to have on that list right now?
Um, would you count 4 Years Strong? Because I know they kind of had their big years more like the late 2000s, but like I feel like they were
Yeah.
just on the cusp of that kind of scene.
I think, like me personally, I would put them older than that because I think the first time I saw them was in 2005 or 2006. but that
Oh,
doesn't
that
mean like
makes sense.
they were very relevant during that time, and they took a lot of these bands on tour during that time for sure too.
And I think that's why, like, I don't know, I didn't fully categorize them because they also, I don't know if they had the same Tumblr appeal as these other bands
Oh
did,
yeah,
if
they
that
were
makes sense.
older than that. I would say like I would classify them as like the older brother during that time, and like same with Census Fail. Like Census Fail had already been around, and they took pretty much all these bands that we're talking about on tour as well. So you can throw them in there if you want.
Oh, yeah. I'm trying to think of what the other big ones were because,
I know some people are screaming at us right now, like you have to throw Tiger's Jaw in there, Transit, but
yeah, that's true. But
or
like,
or anything
I don't
else.
know. I also just, I don't know. I was really, really, really into the Wonder Years. I mean, I still am, but like, it was they
Yeah,
they were they were they were a solid number two for while I was in high school.
solid number two. You're silly.
Yeah.
All right, enough poop jokes. So we have handguns, we have movement, or not movements. We have Man Overboard, The Story So Far, Real Friends, Knuckle Puck, and Wonder Years.
Oh, Neck Deep.
How do you rate
Can't
those?
forget Neck Deep. Yeah.
Definitely. Yep. See, that's the one that people have been screaming at us for. Neck deep.
Yeah, I actually just saw them like a couple months ago, like, and I listen to them often still. But I also like I didn't actually listen to them like very thoroughly right until about the same time I met you, actually, when Life's Not Out to Get You came out, because
Uh,
I don't know, something about that album coming out around the same time I like basically within a month of when I like started adulthood, like it hit different.
oh, for sure. And I'm glad you remember that one because that's a good band, a great live band, like a lot of fun, good energy. And yeah, definitely very monumental during that time. So if you don't
Oh yeah.
mind, how do you rank those bands? I know that's a lot. Usually we do 3 to 5. That's like 27 bands we just named. I can
Okay.
rename them again, or if you want to
Uh,
just tell me your favorites from that
I
time.
think for longevity, definitely got to put the Wonder Years as number one. Oh, State Champs is another
Okay.
one from that team.
Oh gosh, yeah, there's another one we forgot. State
Yeah.
Champs.
Let's see. So yeah, I'd definitely put the Wonder Years as number one.
Okay.
And then from there, I want to say Neck Deep would be number two lately, but I'd have
Ooh,
to.
okay.
That's why I'm like, I can't believe I didn't bring them up. But I actually do listen to them kind of a lot. And then I'm trying to think.
I wrote the abbreviations for these bands on the top of my paper. And a lot of these bands, when you abbreviate them, are also state abbreviations. So I feel like we're ranking states right now. What's your favorite state? Is it Wyoming? Is it North Dakota? Is it South Carolina?
Yeah, crazy. I mean, I mean, I guess I've been to a decent amount of states, but I don't know. I
I'm
found
sorry.
the old, yeah.
Okay, so number one, Wonder Years. Number two, North Dakota or Neck Deep. Number three.
Number three. Oh man, this feels like a lot of pressure off the top of my head.
It is a lot of pressure. So remaining, we have State Champs, Knuckle Puck, Real Friends, The Story So Far, Man Overboard, and Handguns.
See, I feel like everyone is screaming the story so far right now, and there's like I kind of get that, but there's also a part of me that might have to go with Man Overboard. I don't know. I feel like the story so far is a more complex, probably a better band. I just have a lot of nostalgia with Man Overboard. I mean, I have a lot of nostalgia with a lot of them. I don't know. Maybe it is the story so far. Like,
Don't say it because that's what the people want. Say it because it's your answer. We want your number three.
well, I think with the story so far, I go in and out of like thinking about them a lot to where I'll forget about them for months at a time and just be like, oh, they're like on the like generic 2010s pop punk. But then when I like really get into it, it's like, oh yeah, I haven't listened to their newest album a ton, but the first two especially, and then Proper Dose, the self-titled was pretty good, but I just didn't, I don't know, play through the whole thing the same way.
Yeah.
And oh, funny story about the story so far. I was in high school and they came to Sacramento and I had wanted to go so bad, but couldn't find anyone to go with me. And I think I like cried about it in my room for like 2 hours until my mom drove me to downtown so that I could go. And she like sat in the bar area just kind of on her phone, but I was having a good time and just happy to be there. Like shout out to my mom. She didn't quite get it, but she knew it was important. So she helped me out when I was probably 16 or 17.
That's so sweet
And
of her. And like,
now I've probably seen them like 10 times. Like I could pull up a reference list, but I actually feel like I don't know. I don't think of the story so far necessarily as like the top one from that time because not gonna lie, we were talking about how there's less movement at shows now. I don't think they hit quite as hard live as they used to without the movement because Parker just kind of stands there. But yeah, because I saw them twice in October and like I don't know when the whole crowd like because I actually saw them on my birthday in 2018 and that was a really cool time. Proper Dosage just came out. It was one of those ones I get there with my friend and we're like, all right, we'll find you somewhere at the end of this, and the whole room just went crazy.
yeah,
I hit my lip against my teeth and felt that for a couple weeks, but it was such a fun time. But now I feel like we just kind of like, I mean, it's cool that everyone knows the words and just kind of sings, but it just, I don't know, the 3D energy isn't there in the same way. I felt like, and I also like the last time I saw them was at when we were young and was on the stage next to it, and so people around me just were, it was just kind of dead. But I'm like, hey, I like these songs. I'm glad to be seeing them.
yeah. I think you're onto something though with it being the older crowd now. Our backs just hurt. We can't be pushing each other around anymore.
Yeah, like the Wonder Years once said, my heart keeps saying stay young, but my lower back seems to disagree.
Definitely.
Some of that stuff hits harder now being an adult. Yeah.
Yeah. Like the real friends, what do they say about their knees hurting?
Sleepy eyes and bony knees. Real Friends is an interesting one because I do really enjoy Real Friends, but I also really enjoyed making fun of them a lot in high school.
What did you make fun of them about?
So at that time it was just the Put Yourself Back Together EP and the Maybe This Place Is the Same, We're Just Changing. I'm like, literally every single song is about the same breakup, but it's a mood, but it's kind of funny how obvious it is. And just like, I don't know, like I do enjoy them, but I used to make fun of them.
That's fair. And I mean, I make fun of Handguns and Man Overboard a ton because of how whiny and how rhymey their music is, but it's so good.
Because like I like all sorts of music. There is some of it that when I'm showing people music, I'm like, look, it's for the vibes. And then there's some of it that I show, I'm like, okay, we got to like hone into the lyrics and like the way that the underlying instruments line up with the way that the melody, and like there's some, I don't know, there's different ways to like music.
Oh, no, that's totally true. And that brings up another good point and another question I did ask before we finish your top bands. But when you hear a new album of a band that you like for the first time, what do you hear? Do you hear the instruments first, or do you hear the lyrics first, or what do you hear first? Please walk me through that.
I haven't given a ton of thought to it, but I want to say that I hear kind of, I want to say the vocal melodies first. Like I might not know all the lyrics offhand first time, and it depends on how closely I'm listening. Whenever I have time, I would sometimes either the first or second listen, just like listen through the whole thing, pulling up the lyrics, reading along, and like kind of digesting all of it.
Yeah.
But I've also found that the best way to learn albums is when I get them on CD and play them in my Fiesta on a loop, because I don't have Bluetooth anymore, and even the CD player is kind of janky now, and it's finicky when I try to change it out. And so I'll listen to the same CD on repeat every time I drive that car for like months at a time. It's a great way to learn albums.
Yeah. I'm sure they all get stuck in your head. That's funny.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that with us. So, is there anything else you want to distract ourselves with, or should we finish ranking these bands?
Oh, am I ranking the whole list? Okay.
Unless you want to tap out. If you want to tap out, we can tap out.
Let's see. Let's go Wonder Years, Neck Deep. Let's go Story So Far. And Overboard, Handguns, State Champs. I don't know, like, because there's some bands that I've like had to think about harder than others. Like, okay, yeah, top 5, top this, but like I haven't thought about these bands in conjunction with each other specifically in a long time, because a lot of them I just kind of group as all the same, the same time, same energy. But there is nuance between them, and I definitely think the Wonder Years hits the hardest emotionally and nostalgically, and then I also listen to a decent amount. I don't know. I also have like good friend that I think Neck Deep is her favorite band, and we talk about them often. And then what were the other ones that we had on the list?
The last two we had were Real Friends and Knuckle Puck.
Yeah, I'd probably go Real Friends and Knuckle Puck. Both of those bands actually, like, because I don't know. I feel like I might be crucified for saying it, but I haven't kept up that well with Knuckle Puck since like Copacetic, but I used to just accidentally see them live so many times. Like, I think I've probably seen Knuckle Puck like 10 times and was maybe trying like 2 of those times. Like,
definitely. And especially like during that era, like those bands toured together. My band like that was Pierce the Veil. I don't have any issues with Pierce the Veil, but back during when they were touring a ton, I saw them so many times. A Day to Remember,
oh yeah,
All Time Low. They were with all the bands I liked. It's just I never dove into them.
see, Pierce the Veil at my high school, right when Collide with the Sky came out, like I was convinced that Pierce the Veil shirts could be sold at Walmart because they were everywhere, and anyone that had any ounce of edge was like, oh, like, you know, Pierce the Veil, King for a Day is like, so I kind of resented them and didn't get fully into them just because they were everywhere. Them and Sleeping with Sirens kind of dominated like the Hot Topic scene when I was in high school.
Yeah.
And like my friends in high school and I actually like had a game where we do like kind of punch buggy with like stereotypical Hot Topic shirts, and it was for Pierce the Veil, Sleeping with Sirens, Black Veil Brides, like Falling in Reverse, all of those type of bands, because there was a lot of people at my high school that would wear those shirts. They were very common.
I think you just gave us all a great game. You know, last time we went to see Blink, the group that was with us, we all said, it was Christian's idea. He's like, hey, pick a band right now. And so we all picked a band. And then, okay, now be honest, but count how many times you see that band shirt here tonight, right? And I think the Descendants one. Your new game is pick a couple bands and say Punch Buggy during the concert. I think that's a great idea.
Oh yeah, and I know that at some point there were some like, I think one of the times when I saw Blink, it was like kind of like Punch Buggy for every time you see the self-titled album shirt that they've sold at Hot Topic for the last 10 years.
Oh, for sure.
And then I think with the Story So Far, I actually like I have that shirt. And then like with the Story So Far, it was for a long time the teal tie-dye one with their classic logo on it. I saw them and it was like, oh, every other person has that shirt. How original. Like, I don't know. Hot Topic used to seem a lot cooler than it is now. When I was in high school, I swear I'd spend like an hour in there at a time, and now I don't know how.
Yeah, I don't know what they got going on in there, but that's a great question too, is what's your favorite thing you've bought from Hot Topic?
Hot Topic.
And do you still have it?
Probably. I actually still have probably all of my band shirts, but I have them in like storage buckets and at the top of my closet, and I'll alternate through them. And there's some that are definitely beyond salvageable, but I'd like having them, and it's like you can't really get those anywhere else. I remember the first thing I got from Hot Topic, my first band shirts ever, actually on the same day, I got the classic yellow card one that was black with the yellow circle logo, and then a red Blink-182 shirt. That was my shirt that I wore to every amusement park for a long time too. So that stands out.
So did you do that because they have the song Roller Coaster? So that means that's an amusement park band?
The first time it was an accident, and then it became the tradition after that. I still have that shirt too. It has holes in it. I've thought about bringing it out just for going to amusement parks, but that was definitely, it became part of the thought process.
And I apologize. I thought it was a funny joke. You were saying something else. Please tell us.
I think, oh yeah, as far as other things I've gotten from Hot Topic, I used to get, like I said, in high school, I would just camp out at Hot Topic basically. And it's weird to think about how times change now. I actually got a seat belt, all-time low belt from there in high school, and I still wear it like really often just because I don't have a lot of other belts, and it's nice. It doesn't necessarily match a lot, but
who cares? Wear it.
Yeah. So I guess that actually might be like the thing I've worn the most, even though I don't really think about it. And then I remember around the time The Greatest Generation came out, I went in there and I was like, whoa, they have Wonder Year stuff. This is the best day ever. And they were playing The Greatest Generation over the overhead. And I'm
That's
like,
awesome.
I actually got a handgun shirt there from there once, which is also like weird to think now.
Yeah.
Another thing from Hot Topic in high school was up until like probably until I was like 19 or something like that. I used to wear the rubber bracelets from there, like all the way, like
Naturally.
basically to my elbow on both arms, just every day.
Yep. Were they all banned, or did you have anything else?
I think they were pretty much all bands. I think I had like a Batman one or something too, but like it was mostly just every variation of band I like at Hot Topic.
So I want to point out that with your Hot Topic purchases, we're like 30 something minutes into this, and that was the first time we've talked about Yellow Card, which I am surprised that we
I think
made it
we
that far.
mentioned Yellow Card in passing at some point
Oh,
earlier.
you said the concert. You did say that because that's the last time we saw each other. So you did throw it in
Yeah.
there twice.
And we talked about them at the complex, and I don't know. I felt like it was implied that the Wonder Years were second to Yellow Card when I was in high school.
Oh, for sure, yeah. And I didn't throw that on that list because that's a different band. I'm gonna finish up what I was saying with what we started with handguns. Is I met you. You had a handguns beanie on, so that's how I remembered you. You were handguns Emmy. But then I found out you are not handguns Emmy. Your email is YC Emmy. You are in fact Yellow Card Emmy.
This is
So
true.
now, please just go crazy. Tell us all about Yellow Card. It's your favorite band, right?
Yes, definitely. They have been my favorite band since middle school. I first started listening to them. I think I heard Only One when I was like around the time I moved to California when I was like 7 or 8 or something like that. I want to say 2004.
Okay.
And like I'd hear a couple of their songs, and then I actually first heard the Ocean Avenue album because like I was probably like 10. We were having a pizza party in my class at school, and they said you could bring music and CDs, and I was like, I want to find more CDs so it could be cool. And I found it in the living room, just in a pile of my mom's stuff, and I'm like, oh, what's this? And I'm like, oh, I've heard of Only One and Miles Apart. And then that's just how I started listening to the album. I didn't actually know the song Ocean Avenue, but before that point, I knew Only One, Miles Apart, How I Go, maybe Down on My Head. But I just got super into it. At the time, like, I think in childhood, Avril Lavigne definitely dominated. I think just about everyone who was about my age and had an edge of, like an ounce of edge, was really into Avril Lavigne at that time. But I went pretty hard for Avril Lavigne, and Relient K actually was the first band like that I got really into.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Yeah, and they're still like, even when I like don't actively listen to them as much, I think Relient K will always be like a top 5 for me.
So top 5 then?
Top 5 overall. Oh man.
I'm gonna guess that you have Avril Lavigne top 5 still, Yellow Card, Relient K, Blink 182. Am I close at all?
They're definitely in the top probably 25, 20 and everything. Maybe like 20 or 15 and everything. I think tricky thing with Avril Lavigne, I do still really like her. I think she has a really good image. I definitely think, I don't know if her songs would hit quite as hard if I discovered them now, but I still do really enjoy Avril Lavigne. I saw her when we were young recently, icon, legend, and everything. I think top 5 approximately. Like, I think Yellow Card, I'd probably go with, we were talking about Relient K, I'd go with Newfound Glory, and then it gets approximate from there. I'll throw in, it's been like the Somerset, Green Day, Motion City Soundtrack, All Time Low, like the Wonder Years, and everything. Like it starts getting muddled after that. But I think Newfound Glory and Relient K have been like fairly consistent in the like next couple spots, just alternating what spot within those couple spots.
Definitely. And we're bouncing around like a beach ball at a Nickelback concert right now. I'm so sorry, but I am really impressed that your first Yellow Card song was not Ocean Avenue.
I didn't actually hear Ocean Avenue until I got the CD, and it's crazy thinking that in retrospect. But yeah, Only One was the first one I heard.
To me, it seems like unless you lived in Florida at the time, Ocean Avenue is what put them on the map, and that's what everybody heard first. So that's cool that that is not the same story for you.
Oh yeah, and it was also just an interesting time because I was really young. I was in elementary school during the height of that whole scene of music with like the early and mid 2000s pop punk, but I got really into it, and I think partially because that was about the time I started being aware of music and everything. And everything was really exciting and it hit different. And then it was able to be there through, all those years where stuff's happening and you have music to relate to.
Yeah. And then you said that you were able to bring CDs to a pizza party at school. I wish I went to school there. That's awesome. We never had
Oh
that.
yeah. Oh yeah, it was fun. I remember like I'd bring my CDs for like show and tell and stuff like that too. I don't know how much the class was actually into it or how much people actually paid attention, but I felt cool.
And then you also said that you moved to California in 2004, which I did not know you did not fully grow up the whole time in California. So where did you move from?
I just lived in Draper, Utah until I was 7. It's kind of weird because for most of my growing up years, because I still got to do the first through 12th grade in California thing, felt like that's kind of where my whole life was. But I had this fever dream early childhood somewhere else that
Okay.
kind of felt like an inside joke until I got older and moved back out here and like, oh, people know about this. Oh, I see these places. Like I live in Utah now. And like it's became weirdly relevant again.
Which do you like living in more, California or Utah?
I'd say there's pros and cons to both for sure. I'd say at this stage in life, I'm doing pretty good in Utah because I feel like there's just a lot more people my age and easier to get to know a lot of young adults and be in close proximity with a lot of young people. I'd say California is definitely like a nicer place in a lot of ways.
And who has the better music scene?
Actually, surprisingly enough, I feel like it's a lot easier for me to go to concerts in Utah because so I grew up in Sacramento, which is like 2 hours from San Francisco. So most tours just went to the Bay Area, which was just inconvenient enough that like
Yeah.
you have to kind of plan to go.
So I think it's interesting that you say Utah has a better music scene because
Yes,
the concert that we ran into each other at was not going into Utah.
I mean that is true, and that was a weird thing, especially because Yellow Card has a pretty decent fan base in Utah. Actually, like it's enough
Yeah.
of a thing that the band recognizes it, and I think it must have been just like a Day to Remember's booking agent because I've managed to miss a Day to Remember tours like so many times. Just things don't. I've only actually seen a Day to Remember twice. Like,
How many times have you like had tickets to see them though?
um, I don't know if I got. Well, there was a time when I did have a ticket and was supposed to see them, and I heard part of them from the parking lot while I tried to get into the concert. So
Yeah.
I guess I've had tickets to see them 3 times. But
Okay. I thought you're implying that it's been more times than that that you have not been able to see them.
well, there has been, but it's been like because I'm out of town, or like they like, or I had something on that day that I couldn't miss, and somehow it just kept ending up at the wrong times when they'd come through the right places.
So the two concerts that we've been to together that we can remember at least is this last time that I saw Yellow Card when they played with A Day to Remember and the Wonder Years. And I think it's crazy. You know, you told me ahead of time, hey, I'm going to be in Arizona. And you told me why. I was like, well, that's cool that you're coming down here, but why aren't you seeing them in Utah? That's when you told me they're not going to be there. And yeah, I think all of those bands have a big enough following in Utah. So that's weird that that got skipped. I know sometimes
Oh yeah. They also
markets
didn't
like
go
that
to
just get skipped, right?
they also didn't go to Northern California on that tour either, so there's that.
I don't know who has to make that hard choice of which cities do you skip, but that's sad. But what's crazy about that show, you told me you were going to be there. I was like, all right, like I told you my seats, you had pit tickets. I was like, all right, hopefully we can, maybe in between bands run into each other, say hi for a minute. But we walked in at the same time. What are the odds of
I
that?
know.
That's crazy.
All the odds. That was really cool.
I park the car, start walking up, and I'm like, Emmy, hello?
Yeah, I think I did double takes. So like, what are the odds? But
Yeah.
it worked out because that was pretty cool.
Yeah, that's perfect because then we got to hang out until the show started. And then once the show started, you were gone.
Oh, yeah. Oh yeah, like they went straight into the Wonder Years, and it was like, oh, no time to warm up, I guess.
Yeah, I forget which band was supposed to open, but they had like some visa problems or something, right? So they weren't into the States yet and weren't able to play,
Mm-hmm.
if I remember right.
Yeah, it is interesting seeing just how different the Wonder Years shows are now versus then, too. Because I actually saw, I think my second concert that I went to was actually Yellow Card, the Wonder Years, and We Are the In Crowd, and that's kind of what got me into the Wonder Years actually. And that was one
Okay.
where my mom was actually there, and she hated the Wonder Years because of that experience, because that was like her first time seeing a mosh pit, and she's like, what are they all just yelling rough music about? But I got so super into them. Yeah.
Your mom sounds like a sweetheart. And what I realized earlier when you were talking about your mom going to that other show with you, sitting at the bar, is when I was in high school, back before Blink-182 got back together, I thought all that I was ever going to get to see of Blink-182 was Angels and Airwaves and Plus 44. I was supposed to go see Plus 44 with a friend. I did not have a driver's license yet because I think that was like 2005. And I was really bummed. The venue was like an hour and 20 minutes away from Colorado Springs to Denver. And my mom, she's the best. She did the same thing that your mom did. She drove me up to the show. She did not go in and sit at the bar though. She sat in the car. And so
Oh
like that
wow.
even makes it better. We got some good moms out there. So thanks, Friends and Mom podcast.
Oh yeah. Gotta spread all the mom appreciation.
I would do anything though to see your mom's reaction watching people moshing though. I'm sure that was priceless.
Yeah, I think she's a lot more used to stuff like that now, and it's interesting being like a decade later. She's a lot more chill with stuff that my sister's 19 now, and she shows her a lot like more edgy stuff than I showed her and everything. She's just kind of learned to accept it.
And then the other show that we went to together was Blink-182, Day to Remember. I think
Oh, yeah.
All
All
American
time
Reject.
low.
All Time Low. That's right. And
Yeah, I remember that because I remember I was so excited. Like from the time they announced that tour, I was so on top of it and making plans. I was like, should I go see it twice? And then it was right after I got my Fiesta. So it was my first time doing the driving down to Idaho for a show in Utah thing. And I just remember that the weather was crazy. I think right after we passed Ogden, I think there was like a tornado there or something, and it poured down rain. I remember meeting up with you at the In-N-Out beforehand and being like, oh, we're like barely going to make it, but it's cool. We're like, because I think it was you and Tyler and Danielle, I think.
Yeah.
We all met up. And then somehow we like all dispersed while trying to get to the actual show. And I think you were able to get inside the venue when the bands were actually happening. But for whatever reason, I had Danielle in my car and we were in bumper to bumper, not moving traffic and just getting live updates of people being like, oh yeah, All Time Low's on. Oh, they just ended. Oh, A Day to Remember starting. And we're just not moving. And so I pulled off the car and parked at a McDonald's. And I swear, I feel like we ran like almost a mile in the pouring rain to get up to the venue just to like get in line and hear them finishing off If It Means a Lot to You. And it just poured down rain the entire time. And I remember we had lawn seats and they didn't have the big jumbo screens for whatever reason at that show. And I was really glad to be able to see them, but it was hard to not be bummed about missing all the other stuff and everything else that went on. It was cool to see everybody afterwards when we all regrouped and found out who got to see what bands and who didn't.
And we were all soaking wet, freezing, and miserable.
Oh yeah, I got a pretty good cold after that because that was also my first experience driving from West Valley to Rexburg back the same night and trying desperately to stay awake. Like obviously I was safe enough, but I don't know if I would do that again. And I remember I barely ever drink anything besides water, really. And so I had a Monster, and I'm like, all right, this is it. And did nothing. I also just don't think I drank it fast enough for it to be effective. But I was like, why is this not helping?
Yeah, that was like one of the most fun, but also most miserable concerts ever. I don't know how we left the In-N-Out parking lot at the same time, and I was able to see all of A Day to Remember. I was driving a Bronco at the time, so I think I just drove over all the cars, and that's probably what did it for me. Um, but if All Time Low played, I missed them. I thought they either didn't play or they just got cut because of the weather, and then A Day to Remember and Blink just cruised through their sets because of how miserable the weather was. And so it's cool that they still did it instead of canceling, but it was cold. Not fun for that.
I don't know if it ever stopped raining when we got outside, because then we had to like go back to the McDonald's parking lot to get my car. I think Tyler actually gave us a ride back, but it was still just like, I remember, I want to say it took like almost an hour after the show ended to like get back.
I remember turning the car on and blasting the heater until I got home, trying to thaw out, and then taking a hot shower, which for you had 3 hours or plus to drive back to Rexburg. I lived down the street at that time, so I'm sorry. I'm sure it was miserable.
It was. And that was when I discovered that they don't believe in having the reflective lines on the road in the rain. And it was my second time driving in Utah ever, and got to learn real quick.
So with all this that we've talked about, I need to ask you a personal question, if that's okay.
Yeah.
When you go to In-N-Out, like we did before Blink, do you get animal style or no animal style?
Always animal style. I don't even know what In-N-Out tastes like without the animal style.
Now, what about on your fries, not just the burger?
The fries, I most of the time just get them regular, but I'm not opposed to the animal style ones, of course.
Yeah. Good answer. All right, let's just wrap things up there. This episode has not been brought to you by In-N-Out, but it should be because it's delicious.
Honestly, like for what it is, you pay for your burger and your wait time. Like there's not a lot of places you can get just a burger for $3 anymore, but
yeah,
you have to pay for it by waiting in the drive-thru for 20 minutes. But
especially a good one, because like McDonald's is how many thousands percentage marked up their burgers, and they're still garbage. They're not good.
Oh yeah.
In-N-Out's stayed the same. Quality's the same. Man, In-N-Out, you really should sponsor us. Jeez.
Yeah.
What are you doing after this? Want to go get some In-N-Out? I'll drive up to Utah right now. Let's go.
Yeah, get down.
Perfect.
It's open till 1 a.m. Can't go wrong.
So I feel like, though, I need to just hand the mic over to you for a little bit longer for you to tell us more about Yellow Card. Anything that you want to tell us, how many times you've seen them, what it is that you like so much about them, why they're your email.
So I have seen them 18 times. I just looked at my note. And it's crazy because I think like it might be like 8 of those times, maybe 7, have been since they got back from breaking up. They were sure they were done. Like there was a lot of finality to their final show, final tour. I did get to go to the final show in Anaheim in March 2017, and that was a really cool experience. Just full room, really emotional. Trying to think part of why I like them so much. So there's a mixture of, I really like the lyrics. I felt like they've related to a lot of different times in life and always kind of been there. I like the way that Ryan Key's vocal sound, something about it just always hits right. I think they do an awesome instrumental job, and the way that different instruments blend, and the way that if you listen, like the guitar parts, especially in the album Since Ocean Avenue, are more intricate, and then the way they blend with the violin, and the violin being a unique thing within itself. And I think all their albums kind of have like their own energy to them, which is kind of nice to have different moods. They've got a widespread sound, and of course, lots of stuff that sounds like Ocean Avenue too.
Yeah.
I think what other. I do have my fair share of Yellow Card shirts. When I was saying that I have like storage buckets at the top of my closet full of band shirts, one of them is just stuffed full to the brim with Yellow Card and William Ryan Key shirts. Like,
nice.
Like I wouldn't be surprised if I had 50 or more Yellow Card shirts. Like,
holy cow.
Yeah. And so like I think that was also kind of a fun thing at a certain point, is just collecting how many different forms of yellow card merch could I find, because like I mean, like I had like hats. I have an alarm clock that like has the Ocean Avenue themed, and so that was always a fun thing.
Yeah, that's sweet. Do you still have that alarm clock?
Yeah, it's like up here on my desk actually. Makes a good decoration.
That's so cool.
It was just on Amazon at some point when I was in high school.
And they had Amazon when you were in high school? Amazon wasn't even a thing when I was in high school. Thanks for making me feel old.
It's kind of refreshing because lately, I don't know, I never thought I'd get to the point where people were making me feel old, but that's happened more often lately. And so,
I'm glad me feeling old is refreshing for you. It makes you feel better about yourself.
yeah, because I know that like, I think the last time I saw a yellow card in Utah, they were with Third Eye Blind. And I think the people next to me were like, wait, so you're like 27? Isn't that kind of young to be into yellow card? And I was like, maybe, but here I am nonetheless. I don't know, because 27 compared to like 13 or whenever I was first getting really, really into them. Because, oh yeah, because I was talking about how like I first listened to their CDs when I was like 10. And then when I got to like be like 12 or something, I got the rest of the CDs. I know that I think the first CD I ever bought, depends on what you count, because I think my parents got me by Reliant K and Let Go by Avril Lavigne. I had a Walmart gift card. I got Breakaway by Kelly Clarkson when I was like 11, I think. And then the first one I bought with like actual money going on my way to buy was Paper Walls by Yellow Card at FYE. And it felt like the biggest deal. I would go and tell all my friends at middle school how cool it was that I got a new CD, and then it became just something that I got new CDs all the time after that. But it was a really cool thing the first time I got it.
Now, are you ready how I take your favorite thing and I take my favorite thing and I make a question out of it?
Ooh, yeah.
So, Yellow Card. Did they get better when Travis Barker produced them? Or what was the Barker effect on them?
I'm honestly still fully formulating my opinion about it, because I thought the Better Days album was really good, and I've also had it on repeat in my Fiesta and just drove some power and energy. And I think they did a really good job of, sometimes a lot of those older bands, it's really hard to get as into their stuff they're releasing nowadays, because they already know they put out their stuff that people want to listen to. They're just putting stuff out. But I think Better Days hold its own. I think it especially, you can tell they were definitely trying some different things than they'd ever done as a band. And I was trying to think of how I felt about so many outside influences coming in, because I like Yellow Card, but I also like these outside influences. So it's kind of cool to see the collaborations. And I think Travis Barker definitely drove the drums super hard, and just the whole sound in a way that, in a lot of ways, people have probably all been missing for their last couple albums before they broke up. I really loved Lift a Sail and their self-titled, but I know it wasn't everybody's cup of tea, because it was just this weird, different thing. They just were doing whatever they felt like. And if you were only looking at it at the surface, it could be easy to miss how cool those albums are. But I think Better Days really drove home the energy without making it feel forced in the way that a lot of, because I mentioned that New Found Glory is also one of my top favorite bands, or consistent top 5. But I will say that I am probably a little less impressed with some of their newer albums, and it's I'll get it, and I'll know the songs, but I think their albums took a little bit of a decline after Steve Klein left, which was for a good reason, but the lyrics don't hit the same as they did in their good old days,
Maybe they need Barker, get the Barker effect on their sound now.
Oh yeah, that could be cool. I think I actually because right after Yellow Card broke up, Ryan Key was touring as the rhythm guitarist with New Found Glory, and getting to see him with that was cool. I also saw his solo shows a few times, and I know I saw on a Facebook post, Rob Lanterman actually was commenting what if Ryan Key had just joined New Found Glory as their lyricist so that they could keep writing good lyrics. And there's a part of me that liked the idea of that, but there's a part of me that's this is mixing too many things. I don't know where I don't know,
Yeah,
because needs time to be write those for yellow card, and it would just change the whole energy of Newfound Glory a little bit.
it would. But I mean, we're talking about A Day to Remember. We're talking about Yellow Card. We're talking about Newfound Glory. So we're talking about all these um, Florida bands, and like how crazy would it be if you took members from each of those and made this Florida supergroup? That would be fun.
That would be fun, and then throw in someone from Less Than Jake in there, give it a little bit of ska sound.
Yeah, we need to make this happen.
Yeah, Hey Monday was another fun one from Florida that like was into back in the. They haven't been a thing for forever, but Hey Monday was at my first concert.
That's your first concert, Hey Monday?
It was All Time Low with Yellow Card and Hey Monday in the Somerset.
Where was this? This seems like the like most whiny
This
pop
was
punk girly.
this was in 2011. It was in San
Okay.
Francisco at the Warfield. It was the Dirty Work tour, and it was the first tour that Yellow Card went on after they got back from their hiatus the first time. And so I was like, I really needed to figure out a way. That was on a Saturday. I was in middle school at the time. And so it was a really big deal to get to go out somewhere to be able to do that.
Yeah.
And it was just like a mind blowing experience that first time, being like, they're right there. They're in person. They're not just on a screen. Wow, this is real life. And like that feeling was really cool. I got really into the Somerset after that too. I still really enjoy the Somerset. Like they're very poppy, but I don't know. I still really enjoy them.
Yeah. Very, very, very poppy, but very relevant during that for sure. That's a fun first concert. And
Oh
then
yeah.
so you talked about that concert. You said you saw Yellow Card 18 times. How many concerts in total have you been to?
Ooh, I actually have a list in my phone I can pull up because I've put them all down and was documenting those. Uh, looks like I've got 174.
Oh, it's so many.
Yeah.
And what are a couple of your top favorite shows you've been to?
Oh, that's hard. Like that's especially like trying to think of them on the spot. I definitely like we were just talking about Yellow Card's final show, even though they came back, but
Yeah.
like that was a really cool emotional one. We were just talking about the Somerset. I saw them in a tiny venue called Bottom of the Hill in San Francisco for an acoustic show. That was really intimate when they were playing their legendary album in full. That's actually like a standout one for me. I'm trying to think. That Yellow Card and Newfound Glory tour from 10 years ago was a big deal because, like I said, big Newfound Glory fan. It was like a dream come true having them tour together at that time. Uh, oh, you know what? Like, also very up there, right? Like maybe a month or two after I first moved to Utah, uh, on Newfound Glory's Makes Me Sick tour, I actually got to go up on stage and sing Ballad for the Lost Romantics with them. And it was one of the shows where Ryan Key was filling in for guitar with them and had opened for them. So that was definitely one of them. That
Oh, this is
was,
the first time I'm hearing about this.
I don't know how it's your first time hearing about that, honestly, but that was a really cool, like, literally like once in a lifetime. Like, that was because I want to say it's because right before they were pulling people up, they played Situations, which is kind of more of a B-side track, but it's one that I really enjoy and I was going all out for. And they could probably see like, oh, you know, more obscure songs here. You want to come up? And like they had this, they had this wheel that they had ready for like, oh, you can spin this and whatever song it lands on, you can either sing that with us or one that you pick from this list, depending on what the crowd wants more. And I picked Ballad for the Lost Romantics because that's just such a fun song. Like, I think if I was to pick any song from them, I probably would have picked that one.
That's so cool.
Oh yeah, it was just like so surreal, and honestly, respect because like you get tired really fast up there, and I was like out of breath really quickly, but it was a lot of fun.
And did somebody get this recorded?
Yes, I do have like a couple angles of broken up videos of it. It should be on my Instagram further down. It
That's
was
so
in
cool.
June 2018. It was so cool.
I gotta go find that right now. Please hold everybody. I'm gonna go get on Instagram and find this. Um, just kidding. But uh, out of your list of concerts that you've been to, you told me, and we talked about it in person, that you went to the When We Were Young festival.
Yes, that was a really cool, fun experience. I've been twice now.
Okay, because yeah, when I saw you, it was this last year, so you went to that one, and then I take it, did you do the year previous?
I did 2023. Yeah, I went 2023 and 2025. And
Okay.
yeah, when I saw you, it was like literally probably a week after I had gone to the one before. And I don't know, when we were young, it is such a good time, but you have to be prepared. It'll take all you need, all stamina on deck for just such a long day.
Yeah, I've never been, so please tell me all and any about it that you would like to share with us.
So this last time that I went, I think I saw 14 bands, and we got there early enough that we could actually like scope out some of the merch and some of the other booths a little bit beforehand. Because the first time that we went, it was very rushed. It was just so crowded, like more crowded than Disneyland everywhere you went. Like it's probably honestly a fire hazard, but it was, but it was like it's hard to just even walk between stages. But it's all just so an overload of like all the bands I'd want to see back to back. And this last time watched 10 bands back to back, like without any breaks, running on 2.5 hours of sleep because I was driving down the night before to stay in St. George and then drive into Las Vegas the next morning. But when we were driving to St. George, I got a flat tire and it took AAA 3 hours to get to us on the side of the road near CPO, Utah. And so I got 2.5 hours of sleep, if that, and then drove into Las Vegas to do like a 13-hour concert day. And like I brought a camel pack this time. That was a really good like you got to stay hydrated because it's like 90 degrees in Las Vegas even in October. And it was just all of these bands back to back that were really cool. And then when we took a break for like an hour, and the break was, okay, have you gone to the bathroom? Have you eaten food? And like it wasn't much of a rest as much as a, okay, do literally anything else for a minute. And the first time I went, I don't know, my friend that I was with almost passed out like multiple times and he got so much like heat exhaustion. Like it kept going. But then when we came back for the last four bands of the night, like they were really good. It was Avril Lavigne, Weezer, Blink-182, and Panic at the Disco. But like it was all catching up at that time. I think Weezer was really good. That was actually my first time seeing them. But it did kind of bring the level of energy from the day down just because they did have a slower pace than everybody. And then it got a minute to realize how tired I actually was.
Yeah.
And then Blink was one of the ones I was looking forward to the most. I was just so tired. And the poster lied. They did not play Enema, Take Off Your Pants and Jacket, and their self-titled in full. Like, it was still a really good set, really good show, but I was excited about the idea that to play. I didn't know how they were going to play all of those albums, but
Yeah.
those are like the golden era of Blink.
Yeah, for sure.
But they were still really, honestly, it kind of felt like a fever dream a little bit because I don't know, they're in their 50s, but they're still having the same kind of banter that they always have a little bit.
Yeah,
and then with just being so tired and so much going on, like to try and take it in as it's going, I was like, what is going on? And then now we're playing Blink song. And like, it was just felt very fast paced. And then Panic at the Disco, I feel like they were really impressive, had a really big stage presence, and it was cool. But we did leave after Irate Sins Not Tragedies because we were done. Like we were like dead.
Yeah. I would have left before they came on stage.
Fair enough, but like
I would have tapped out, called it a day.
I was just a little bit like, I think a funny thing with Panic at the Disco is I think like he called it quits like less than 2 years before they announced he was going to do When We Were Young. And so there's a part of me that's just like, oh, like if we're ever going to see him. I'd seen Panic at the Disco one other time and I felt like it was the Viva Las Vengeance tour and like no one super loved that album, but I got to see all the like big songs and get the kind of idea. So I felt like I was good. My friend was really excited about Panic, but we were just tired.
Yeah, that's a long day.
Mm-hmm. And then like I was like, even just trying to go to the hotel, like that was only maybe 20 minutes from there. I was like really using anything left in me to try to stay awake just to do that short of a drive. And my friend went in to go check in. I was already asleep by the time she came back out.
Yeah, you didn't get much sleep the night before, so that totally makes sense. And
Oh
then I
yeah.
know the answer to this, that you have not gone to the new version of Warped Tour. You went back before it changed to this mega event like When We Were Young. But how do you compare Warped Tour to When We Were Young?
Ooh. See, Warped Tour felt more chill, but I think that's partially because it wasn't the new mega festival Warped Tour where you've got people coming in from all over. And I feel like there was more space. Like there were grass areas you could sit in, or like amphitheater chairs if you needed a break. I felt like there was more personal booths where you could go and like sometimes meet the bands or like get merch by band. At When We Were Young, it's all a giant line of all the artists' merch, and you just kind of got to wait through it. The first year that I went, we watched a couple bands from the line because the line took over an hour, but it was a whole thing. And I don't know, I think I don't know, there's aesthetics to both of them. I feel like people got more theatrically into When We Were Young, and When We Were Young really pulls on the nostalgia bit, which is kind of fun, and they have a lot of like themes. This last time we went, you could tell that Yellowcard's putting a lot into marketing this album cycle because there was like Yellowcard backdrops like everywhere for Better Days, which was fun. And then
that's pretty cool.
Yeah. And Warped Tour, I don't know, like you got to go home at like 9 instead of like after midnight. So it had a little bit more energy. But
definitely,
I think When We Were Young had a little bit, probably more of the bigger name bands back to back.
Yeah, and that is cool.
When We Were Young is also super, super expensive compared to Warped Tour back in the day. Like I don't know, my first Warped Tour was probably like $40 then.
Yeah, I think old Warped Tour, I went a few times, and I think my most expensive ticket was $50.
Oh yeah, and back then that was a deal. Yeah, we just never gonna have times like that again. And sometimes I think about how like high schoolers probably can't go to concerts anymore because it's crazy expensive. The cheap ones are like $60 now. Like,
yeah, but high schoolers now know how to use AI, and they're all starting and selling businesses while they're still 16, so they can afford it. It's just us that can't afford it anymore.
Yeah, well, I don't know. It depends on the high schoolers. I don't know how much there are pop punk high schoolers anymore because, I don't know, there's all the people that are like, oh yeah, My Chemical Romance. But I don't know how much nuance they know beyond that. Or they'll be like, oh, Green Day and Blink-182. Yeah, that's like, I don't know. They talk about it the way that people my age talked about Nirvana, I feel like. That was another game we had about shirts in high school. Whenever we saw someone wearing Nirvana, the Ramones, Pink Floyd, any of those that you could get like at Walmart, like I always joke to people like, oh yes, that's my favorite brand. And like I think a couple times like we would ask people like what their favorite song was. We were kind of jerks, but like it was, I don't know. Apparently we're just checking out everybody's band shirts.
Well, it is like a confusing thing to wear because like people make fun of those oh, you're wearing a band shirt, what's your 3 favorite songs? But like for me, if you're wearing a band shirt, that means you're my friend because I like that band too. And so if I come up to you and start talking about that band and you don't know how to have a conversation with that band, things just got really awkward.
Yeah, I definitely had that moment. I know there was someone at my high school that was wearing a Green Day shirt, and we all came up to him and were super excited to talk about it. And we asked what his favorite song was, and he just kind of like smirked a little and said, "Wake me up when September ends." And that was kind of where the conversation ended.
Yeah. Everybody just slowly backs away and goes their own direction.
Yeah, it was awkward because, like, I don't know. I definitely also feel that way to where I'm like, okay, like, I'm really into this. We got to be able to talk about this. What do you mean you're wearing their shirt and you don't know anything about them?
Yeah.
As an adult, I can be a little bit more like, well, I'm glad they know about them at all enough to wear the shirt.
I wonder how many times someone's worn a band shirt not realizing that it's a band, like a Ramones shirt or something like that.
When I first moved to Utah, I actually had a roommate who had a boyfriend that came over wearing a Knuckle Puck shirt once, and I tried to talk to him about it, and he's like, oh yeah, I got it at a thrift store. It says Illinois on it. And then like,
World, so him. That's funny. That's a rare band too to have that experience with.
Yeah, and then like I showed him No Good, and he was not impressed. But I thought it was cool. It's a cool shirt.
You can't wear that shirt if you don't know that. Give it to me.
Yeah, it was a little bit of a disgrace, and he should have just given it. Like, but got excited for a second there. I'm like, oh, you brought back a guy that likes Knuckle Puck, and it's like, no, apparently he likes shirts that say Illinois on them.
What a loser.
There's a lot cheaper ways to get shirts that say Illinois. There's also like the price of merch is insane. Because back then it felt like a lot to do $20 a shirt, but now it's like you go to a concert and they can be like $50 for like a plain T-shirt.
Yeah, it's very crazy. People are like, well, we're at a concert and she can buy a shirt. I go, nope.
Not anymore. Yeah, and I'm also just like, if I'm going to keep all these in my closet, I don't have a place for a lot of them. It's a trap.
For sure. I really want to start a fight tonight, and I'm kind of being skeptical. I am skeptical about going into it. But you brought up My Chemical Romance as one of these bands that you were talking about a second ago.
Oh,
in
yeah.
your opinion, what kind of band is My Chemical Romance?
I typically group them with like Fall Out Boy and Paramore in that late 2000s kind of like Hot Topic emo pop punk, which I specify that because I feel like emo is a controversial term, and depending on who you ask, like how you use it, and I use it in air quotes because I know that that's not real emo, but I think that's what, if you found a person on the street and was like, what is emo, they'd probably refer to that.
You said Hot Topic emo / pop punk. So are they more emo or more pop punk?
I think they're more pop punk because I don't know. I've been on around the internet enough to know about the different genre Nazis and like, no, that's not emo. Sunny Day Real Estate's emo, and and everything. Yeah. So I think people that don't know anything just call it all emo.
Well, that's the thing too. Is like some people it really matters. Some people it's like me. I'm like, dude, if you're listening to that music, that's pretty cool. Like, if you like the music I like, I don't care what you call it, as long as we can go to the concert together or listen to it together. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, it's getting fewer and further between to find people that like any of that music to where I'm not as picky as I once was.
Yeah, for sure. And we're going to take a poll to see what people think about you. Are you more emo or are you more pop punk? Or just punk?
I'm definitely the hardest on the pop punk. And then I don't know, as far as emo, like I think if we're talking real emo, I don't know how far my emo cred is. Like I don't think it's not necessarily zero, but I feel like emo is just such a charged term. I also spent a lot of time on the Defend Pop Punk group and other forums on the internet, and I know how hostile people can get if you call things the wrong things.
Oh, for sure.
So I was always just like kind of weary of emo for that reason a little bit, is because when you mention emo, people get really defensive of that's not real emo.
Yeah.
But I do like punk stuff, and like I definitely am more into pop punk, but I can get behind like traditional like punk sounding music too. Like yeah. I mentioned Less Than Jake a little bit earlier. They're more ska, but they're in my top 20. Like I really enjoy them. I saw them within the last year. Trying to think of some others like.
Well, I want to know your definitions of these now. So what's your definition of emo and what's your definition of punk?
See, for me, punk always meant just kind of like being yourself, doing your own thing, regardless of what anyone thinks about it, and just kind of having I don't care what other people think attitude. And there's also the style to it that, I don't know, it's hard to describe. Like there's an edge to it, lots of like, I don't know, like it's hard to describe, but there is a style to it along with an attitude and just doing what you want and not being held back by, I want to say like the norm and standards and what people that you're supposed to be like. And then emo, I feel like I categorize emo as kind of just like really emotional, just kind of like stripped down, honest. Like I don't know. I don't think the Wonder Years, I wouldn't call their sound emo, but I feel like in a lot of ways, their lyric style is kind of a lot of what I associate with kind of emo sound like style.
I like that you said stripped down. That's pretty cool. It's a good explanation for emo.
Well, thanks.
What about, like, what is it with pop punk that you relate to, and like, why are you more of a pop punk fan than anything else?
I like the energy. I like the lyrics. There's obviously like some pop punk that's like meant to be kind of on the surface and just because you're having a good time and like the kind of stuff they would play in 2000s movies and everything. But I do think that there is a lot that lyrically there is a lot to just kind of relate to. It has a lot to do with different relationships with people. And there's like the, oh yeah, like whoever broke up with me and all that. But I think that goes deeper than that. And I really like the lyrics that go into it. And then the 2010s newer pop punk, I think, takes it a step further too and gets kind of blends it almost with the emo mentality and gets into real emotions and problems.
I'm writing down that you said the emo mentality. I like that.
Thanks.
I'm gonna have a lot of quotes from you for this one. I like that. You know how we met was in Rexburg. You described that music scene. It was a small scene, like the group of us that were there. Like there was people that were already there. There was us transplants that were there for school. And there's a band that I very much enjoyed playing with. They had a lot of talent. They had a lot of dedication, and that's Carry On Kid. I got to play with them. I got to know some of those guys pretty well. They did 10 years later, something like that, a reunion show last year, and you got to go to.
Yeah, I was at that in September, and it was crazy the way that like it, a lot of ways, just transported back. I couldn't believe how much time had passed because just the way that I probably saw them like 10 times within a summer or something like that. And so bringing that together and just the memories of like, hey, we all relate with music. We all knew these songs. With them like being in a room where it's like, oh, these like inside joke things almost, and just the community is back. And I still listen to Carry On Kid on Spotify sometimes. Like I don't know, it was a whole time. And I also felt like with that music scene, it was kind of cool how there was like 2 or 3 times a week there were big music related things going on where you'd see roughly combinations of the same people at, and just a sense of community just with how small of a town it was. And that was a really cool, unique thing about that time. And it was also crazy because, like, I met you literally on the street, and there was a couple other people that, like, I would meet just in the hallways at school or in random places. Like, I think I did Fat Lip by Sum 41 at karaoke at the Berg once, and I think that's, like, how I met a couple people there. And then I don't know, just all these places, and then people that were like at the food court area at the school, and then everyone would happen to know each other after. It was crazy.
Yeah, and it's so fun that music brings people together, and I'm glad that you took some time to explain that, like how it builds friendships, how we meet people from it. The conversation could have got a lot different if I would have saw your handguns beanie and said, "What kind of gun do you carry?" instead of just assuming that it's the band.
And I honestly don't think I would have been prepared for that conversation at 18. Like, I did not give that much thought to it, but it was crazy because I would wear that beanie to my high school, but like, and the vice principal read it and just was like, "Okay, carry on." like didn't think much of it.
Yeah, not no more. I'm thinking because during that same time, I had a Man Overboard hoodie that had the AK-47 on the front of it, and I didn't think about that, but yeah, that got some looks because the defend pop punk thing, which is so funny. People make the jokes about our generation. The only war that we fought in is defending pop punk, but.
I actually have that shirt too, and it had it in the logo was in floral, and it was crazy because it was a divisive thing at that time. I actually got a Defend Pop Punk sticker for my Mazda, and my mom was like, "Are you sure you want to put that on your car? It's like kind of a statement, putting a gun on your car. Someone might break your window over it or something." But yeah. No, I actually I only drove the car for another maybe not even a year after that point because it was on the verge of dying the whole time. But by the time that it was ending, I like couldn't make it from like my town to the other side of my town without it overheating, and it was summer then.
It gave you its best life it could. Okay, it tried.
It sure did.
R.I.P. Mazda 626 with the Defend Pop
Yep.
Punk sticker on it.
Oh yeah, I also had a yellow card paper walls window decal in that car that only got to live on it for less than a year. Like it was kind of sad, but I don't know. My Fiesta has stickers on it now. I've got a yellow card sticker and the daisy from the cover of by Reliant K.
That's awesome.
And I've got a sticker of my cat and of California. And I'm like,
if you would like, please share pictures of those things with us. I really definitely want to share a picture of your yellow card alarm clock. And also, there's a chicken behind you. I believe that is the chicken from Surf's Up. We need to share. Is that or that Moana?
that's the chicken from Moana. That's actually my husband's vest, and my sister and my parents actually gifted that to him because he always likes to say that. Because people are like, "Oh, what Disney character are you the most like?" And he says that Hey Hey is his spirit animal, just not knowing what's going on and just making funny. Random sounds. But yeah, Hey Hey is a good time over there.
Is there anything else that you would like to discuss before we wrap things up, or anything else that you want to bring up?
So I will say that even though there's a lot of music available to us in a time where we don't have to just depend on labels and whatever else that pushes music for you to discover, you can just discover it from scrolling. I also just happen to think it's really hard to find newer music to get into these days. It's harder to find things that I connect to as hard with as I did before. And I think it's something I never understood before the last few years, but I don't know if your parents were like this, but my parents listened to the same things for like decades at a time. And I would always be like, They don't know anything that happened in music past a certain point. I'm like, oh no, is that what I'm going to be like now? Because I don't know, something about the stuff I liked from before just hits harder. And then those bands, a lot of them aren't putting out as good of music now as they were then. And then a lot of the newer stuff, I'm like, this is just trying to be the stuff of the older sound I like. But it's also the sound that I like the most. And there's some other things that I'll get into, but it's harder to have things hit quite as hard. I think one of the last artists I like really became a new favorite was a handful of years ago. I went down the Motion City soundtrack like rabbit hole, and I just played their CDs in my car on repeat for years. And like my roommates, my sister, everyone just got to know those songs and it was like I had already been to a lot of those other bands that were similar for a long time, but for some reason I had missed Motion City soundtrack. And so when I was able to jump back on that, it was like discovering a 2000s pop punk band again. Yeah. I think the most recent album or band I got really into was I got Zebrahead's MFZB album from an antique store like over the summer because I really liked awesome. The band I Hate Kate. I got their album Embrace the Curse because like I don't know, someone on a music forum on Gaia Online when I was in middle school would talk about them. So I'd be like, oh, like I want to listen to this band, and I ended up liking them. And it's the same lead singer from those early Zebrahead albums. So that was a CD I got really into over the last year because I feel like I can get to learn music the best when I play a CD on repeat in my car. Like Definitely. I said, but I feel like getting into music back then, it was like there was so much left to discover. It felt like of that similar sound because I'd start with like bands on iTunes that were listed as similar to Yellow Card, or I did a lot of borrowing CDs between my friends, and like I had a friend who had a stepmom that was only 14 years older than us, and she had a lot of those CDs, and so she'd let me borrow them and upload them, and I could listen to, and like, I don't know. CDs were like a really big deal as far as my music journey goes. I know vinyl is the cooler thing now, and I can dig vinyl too. I think they're so pretty, and the full art is really cool. I think they're super fragile, which is a lot of pressure, but
yeah, definitely.
I never forgot about CDs. I probably have like 600 CDs. You can follow my Discogs account where I log the physical media that I have. But I think compilation albums like the Warped Tour CDs were another way that I would discover a lot of bands. That's how I got into the Wonder Years. Well, that and seeing them with Open for Yellow Card. I'd see like I used to get more excited about opener bands then than I did now. And just stuff that my friends were listening to. And I don't know, I feel like there was just a lot of ways to get into music, or just like, I don't know, there was a lot of bands that I'd hear about more. And I was in, like I said, I was in a lot of online forums about music. And so that was an easy way to discover a lot of music too. And like you'd see like a Tumblr quote on social media or something like that in like an aesthetic edit and be like, oh, what's that from?
Yeah.
There's a lot of that. Whereas now it's like, honestly, what vibes with me the most a lot of times is getting more into something that I skipped over that was older. Like,
I really like all the things you brought up, like talking about parents' music and how they're stuck on the same thing. And like to me, it seems like you're trying to avoid that same pattern. I put thought into, well, back then, like they didn't have as many bands and options. Like if people wanted to make music, they had to be, good musicians. They had to invest a lot of time and their money. Now anybody can just make music. So there's just so much music out there. And it's, over the years just grown into this market company, whatever you want to call it, where so many people are more involved in it, which is great. Like it's good because I'm glad people make music. But now for us, it's just that there's so much out there. So yeah, when we find a sound, we want it to stick like that. And I know I'm just ranting, but the point I want to get to that I like that you brought up is, we can tell that CDs are something that mean a lot to you. I'm definitely going to check out and see all the ones that you have, because I think it's interesting and fascinating how many you have and that you found Motion City Soundtrack. That's a great band. And if people don't know that band, that's one to look into. Sounds to me like you like CDs over vinyl, which I think a lot of people are getting back into collecting CDs right now. It's a great thing. It's a cool thing.
It is still kind of a hot take because I know that vinyl is and like I also get into vinyl. I have to have more restraint with that because it is significantly more expensive, and they're just like there's a lot of pressure because they're expensive and fragile. Like you'd have them sit by the window for too long and you risk wrecking them. Whereas like what I liked with the CDs, I'd go to the record store all the time. Growing up, we had like 5 within 45 minutes of my house in California. There was a chain called Dimple Records, RIP. Like they were great, but it was really easy to get like a $3 to $5 CD of an album I really liked. And now if I go and look to buy CDs, a lot of times I'm like, well, I have like time I go to a used CD store, I have everything there that piques my interest. And then newer CDs are more expensive. I like that they can be played in my car. I like that you can pass them off to have people. I guess people probably don't upload digital files anymore because of Spotify. But I was using an iPod Classic as like a main way of listening to music through like 2018 or something.
Nice. Good for you.
I mostly just had to let it go because technology evolved to the point where I could not upload more songs onto it. And Spotify is great for a lot of things. It bugs me. The couple little things bug me, like how there's not every song I could possibly want to listen to. If you get into niche things, you can't just upload a file of whatever. And I think my biggest pet peeve with Spotify is the shuffle algorithm. And I don't know, the amount of times I just press shuffle all on a playlist, and then I go and like listen to music again the next day, and I'm like, these are playing the same songs in the same order that I heard them yesterday, and it bugs me. And like it picks like favorite like albums or most popular songs from bands. Like the amount of times that like it's defaulted to Addicted by Simple Plan when I listen to anything. Like it's a good song, but I'm like, okay, like we get it.
Yeah. No, I think I've talked about it before that Spotify has definitely ruined songs and bands for me because of how much they try to push it in your face. And it's like, it's a great song, it's a great band, but they have other music, or there's other music just in general to play. But yeah, like you said, they like to play the same ones over and over and over again. The the thing that I wanted to bring up when you talked about CDs is you talked about the compilation CDs, like the Warped Tour compilation, and then tying that into Spotify is, for me, I liked the Warped Tour compilations. I would say that, like stuff like that. I have a couple Atticus ones, and then just going to concerts and hearing, bands open for other bands that you like is a lot of times how I've discovered new music. And with Spotify ruining their their mixes or compilations, whatever. Also, on the other hand, it's not like a physical form of a CD where you have to go skip it. You can just skip because there's thousands and thousands and thousands of songs out there that Spotify can just throw in. Or back in the day when you had the Warped Tour compilation, it was 25 to 50 bands. You're more likely to give that one song from that band a chance.
Oh yeah.
Whereas now you just skip so fast.
Yeah, and there are a lot of bands that I got into from back then. I could be like, oh, it's because I heard their one song on the compilation. So I was like, oh, I've heard of this band. Is this song any good? And ended up really liking it. Like we're talking a lot about Man Overboard today, but like I actually like. So I heard their song "Rare" in Hot Topic when I've been like 2011, and I was like, this is a really good song. I didn't have a way of knowing what song it was, but it bugged me for like months. And then like almost a year later, I discovered it on the Warped Tour compilation. I felt so accomplished. And I think that's part of why I was so excited about Man Overboard.
So cool. It's an awesome way to find them.
Mm-hmm.
Well, is there anything else that you'd like to discuss before we wrap things up?
Not off the top of my head, but.
Well, I want to say that this was great. I appreciate that we finally got to do it. This was a good conversation. It's good catching up with you. You're a wonderful person. You're one of the biggest fans of music that I know. And so I'm glad that we've got to go to a couple shows together, that we get to talk music together. And that I know if there's somebody I need to talk music with, that I always have you to rely on. So thank you for that.
Yeah, thank you. And thank you for putting up with how many times I had to put this off, because this was fun, and I really enjoyed this, and I need more outlets in my life lately to be able to talk about music. I want to stay current and involved with music as much as I can, but adulthood happens and it's kind of sad.
Well, your friends in music are here for you, all of us. If we want to talk music, we're here.
I'll have to take you up on that. Yeah.
All right, thank you, Emmy.
Yeah, thank you.